coaching over a team game is a bit tricky. I've explained this many times before, because it's no longer totally up to you to win the game. It also depends on your ally and how you guys synchronize and play together, and how do your opponents synchronize. And you've seen it happening in these games that I've been playing today, in these 2v2 games that I've been playing today. It doesn't matter if you win your side, if your ally loses his, you might lose the game, right? So it's not always up to you to win the game. Now, you're on this side of the map. Okay, you're playing Malians. You asked me the other day, Pangoro, for a Malian game, right? Okay. Let's take a look. Okay. Open is fine. Make sure that you're not keeping your villager idle. Okay. Ignore these ones. Okay, guys, I'm gonna tell you something. And how to say it in English? Like, keep this in your mind forever. One villager can gather around 40 resources a minute. So every time one of my villagers goes idle, and I get a lot of idle villagers. So it's not, I mean, it happens. But think about it, right? So that you start caring a little bit more about these little things. Every time a villager goes idle, it's not gathering resources. So if I have 3 villagers not gathering resources for 20 seconds or 30 seconds, I won't be gathering 60 resources in that time. That is very important. If you think about it, especially at the beginning of the game, or when trying to hit some timings, like castle timing or feudal timing or an attack timing, having idle villagers is very, very, very important. Like, you shouldn't. Okay? So these guys have been idle for 10 seconds. 10, 15 seconds. That's quarter of a minute. Those are 10 resources that these guys haven't gathered. There were 3, so 30 resources. Again, look at your food, look at your gold. Okay, is this one in range? I think it is, right? Yeah. A lot of sheep. Good job. Okay. Okay, you're about to hit field. Nice. Okay, you're playing. Let's analyze the game. So you're playing Malians and Japanese versus English and who's the other guy? And Delhi. English and Delhi. Okay, before we keep watching the game, we have to analyze. You're playing kind of a booming civ, right? You want to be placing cattle ranches around your TC and adding cows. And your ally, well, it doesn't really matter what your ally wants to do, right? Because who's leading the game is your opponents, is the other team. Why? Because they're playing very aggressive civs. They usually play in feudal. Okay, English and Delhi. So whenever, if you want to play Malians or you want to play China or ABA, any booming civ, you should always try to get an ally that can defend you or put a bit of pressure. That is English, for instance, they can defend you. That could be French. Also, they can put pressure in your opponent, because at the end of the day, you wanna be as safe as possible and keep your opponents off your base. Okay. So whenever my ally or myself are playing a booming civ, the other person has to be playing either an aggressive civ that can put pressure and give me, like, buy me time, or a defensive civ that can play with me defensively. Okay. In this game, you guys are somehow forced to be playing in feudal. And why is that? Well, because you're playing against Delhi, and Delhi will take control of the sacred sites. You have to defend them. You have to prevent them from taking the sacred sites. On a 1v1 situation, Malians versus Delhi, it is a bad matchup for Malians. You kind of have to be playing around with the sacred sites, trying to deny one. You like moving around with maybe a couple sofas or just a bunch of units here and there. But it's not like you can and you don't want to engage right away. You want to be working on your farm eco. Okay. And against English, you're going to be pressured. So you will have to delay your second pit mine 100%. 100%. You will have to delay your second pit mine, especially if you have it like kilometers away from your base. I think, is this your second mine? Oh, actually, you got one over here. You got one over here. You won't be able to defend them. You will have to get jab throwers. Yeah, you will have to get jab throwers if you want to go for a second mine. Like English is not gonna let you. So how would I play this game if I were you? First of all, I wouldn't have picked Japanese as my companion, as my ally. I would have picked English or French or Rus or English, French, Rus, Mongols. Also, Mongols, very good pick. When played together with a booming save, Mongols. Now, Japanese and Malians. If I were you guys, Japanese can go fast castle or second TC, and you have to be working on your cow economy. So in some way, you're gonna ignore sacred sites for a bit, because your booming economy is going to be stronger, but you have to be very careful. Let's see what your opponents are doing. You're going feudal. Try to place Mansa Quarry in a location where it doesn't affect your cow, like your cow placement. So if you want to put, you always want to put your cattle ranches behind your base, right? So that they're not exposed. In this case, you can't really do that because there's a wood line, but you might want to get them here. This would be a good place to get them, right? Like here. So I would suggest you place the Mansa Quarry on the other side, somewhere where you're not gonna place your cattle ranches. So cows to the side or back. Yeah. Okay, you're hitting feudal. We need to scout. We need to see what this guy's doing. This guy could be mining stone. So if he's mining stone, you know that he's not going to attack you. So you can go for those cattle ranches right away without even getting an archery range and jab throwers. This guy could be going for a fast castle without units. So we need to know what this guy's doing. We know what Dell is going to be playing 100%. Dell is going to be playing feudal. There's no risk of Delhi going fast castle. Like, nobody does that. It's not how the civ has to be played. They will go for those sacred sites. It is important to know what landmark they decided to go up with. And this is the Dome of Faith. So he will have a lot of... This is usually used against civs that have like man-at-arms or heavy knights, just because you can heal up your units, right? And there's not a good way of you dealing with armored units. I mean, you do have the Gatsy Raider, but it's not the best of the best. It is useful, but it's not the best. Okay, let's see what you do. Okay, so you're sending a lot of villagers onto wood. That's good for production buildings, for cattle ranches. You could have killed that... Oh, my mouse wasn't working. You could have killed that scout. You need to scout what English is doing, okay? It is important. Also, if you see that the English player is going for stone, so he's going for second TC, you can, again, I don't know if I said it before, but you can go right away for that second pit mine. But now you're in the dark. I don't use a lot my scout. It is very important. Quick tip, when playing against English, you want to have your scout somewhere out of his base to see how many lombos he's producing and when he's producing them. Okay, so you want to have your scout over here to see those lombos coming out. Now, you've seen those lombos coming out. I wouldn't suggest you open stable, because many times they go, like English plays with barracks and council hall. So they're going to have spearmen and archers. Your sofas are not going to be useful. What's going to be very useful is an archery range and jab throwers, because they counter both archers and spearmen. They don't really counter spearmen, but they work well against them. Not in big numbers, but at the beginning they do. So instead of sofas, instead of horsemen, sable, go for jab throwers. If you wall this side, you don't really need this tower. Okay, this is important. As English, you want to move you want to place your scout like over here, your scout over here, and your longbows like here. Why? Because your scout's going to provide vision over the wood line. And your longbowmen will be able to snipe villagers across the wood line, right? If you're walling off this side, the scout can no longer come this way. So if he wants to snipe any villagers from your wood line, he will have to get into the TC range. And you may ask, well, Vortex, but I mean, it's only 100 wood. It is important. 100 wood is a cattle ranch. 100 wood is almost an archery range that you're going to need. So at the beginning of the game, you have to carefully decide how to spend your resources, because it's not like you have 80 villagers that are going to constantly be adding wood and food onto your into your bank. No. I mean, now you're floating a lot of wood. Like, this shouldn't be happening. You should be adding cattle ranches and archery ranges. Let's see your distribution. So you got 11 on wood. That's fine. It's a good distribution. I don't know why you got so much wood. Maybe because you haven't been adding cattle ranches. Also, as Malians, I love getting peak. Be careful with this. It is important. Place the mining cap next to the mine. Like, next to the mine. Okay. I like getting peak and broadaxe. Okay, you got broadaxe, get peak after. Next one, you can either go for wheelbarrow or horticulture. Okay, archery range. Try this. This is a quick tip for every civ. At the beginning of the game, try to place your buildings as close as possible to your TC. Because if it happens that he decides to ram push you, it is going to be easier for you to defend a blacksmith or an archery range or a sable which is under your TC range, rather than one which is like so far away from it. This is good stuff in League of Legends coaching. Goes from $100 to $200 a session. I do private coaching sessions too, if you guys are interested. These are for free because you guys are subs. Okay. Remember adding lumber camps. Well done. Now you saw that he was producing longbowmen. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's keep watching. Remember that if you're playing with horsemen, knights, whatever unit, cav unit, you have to be putting pressure in the map. You have to be putting pressure either in your opponent's to your opponent's economy with raids, or basically that. Okay, they're not meant to be defending your base. You want to build a tower here. Okay. Remember to get the peak. Again, we don't use sofas or horsemen to defend. We're gonna need a lot of. You see why this is a bad decision? This is a bad decision. If you had spent your money on jab throwers, by now you would have like 10, 12. And with 10, 12 jab throwers, you're able to defend this push easily. Easily. Okay? Remember that whenever we are going for a booming approach, booming strategy, we kind of want to be playing defensively. And what are defensive units? Spearmen, archers, jab throwers, mangonels. right? So we don't really need to be pressuring my opponent. I don't really need to be pressuring my opponent. I can do that because I have sofas, but I don't really need to be pressuring him. He's the one who has to pressure me. Why? Because I'm booming. Every one of these cattle ranches is providing me with 75 food per minute. So he either goes for second TC or he's going to fall behind. Now, do I really need to go out and put pressure, or do I have to defend my base and make sure that those cattle ranches stay alive and that I can keep adding new cattle ranches? At this point, you guys are playing 1v1s, so you're playing against English and your allies playing against Delhi. So nothing to worry about. Like, they're not going to 2v1 you for now. Also, quick tip, when engaging like this, when playing a comp of knight or horsemen and archers or jav throwers, you don't want to be splitting your units like this. You want to have all of your units together. Why? Because if you split them, he's just going to split his units. Right? And what's the point of this? Like, your archers need to be hitting his spearmen. But if your cav is over here, he's going to send his spearmen up north. So you won't be able to snipe those spearmen. You have to play with all your units together as a ball, right? So the way you do this is you get your horsemen number 1 in a control group. You get your spearmen, archers, jav throwers into a different control group. And you basically move forward. Let's say that your horsemen or sofas or knights were here, right, in front of your archers. You basically move forward with your cav, bait his spearmen out, and then you snipe his spearmen with your archers / jav throwers, whatever you have, right? But you only bait those spearmen out. You don't really engage, okay? You don't engage. You just bait the movement of those spearmen out of the group so that you can snipe them with your archers or jav throwers. I thought you can flank with the cav and then archers clear the archers. Yeah, but the thing is that you don't really, like, if those spearmen are dead, think about the counters. Your sofas, I mean, they don't really counter archers, but they're good against archers. Your jav throwers counter archers. What counters spearmen? You have to take down those spearmen. Because if you don't take down those spearmen, your sofas are going to do nothing. And jav throwers are not especially good against big amounts of spearmen. So you kind of need those sofas. Okay? So you snipe the spearmen, and once spearmen are out, you can take down the archers with your sofas or jav throwers. But you have to focus on those spearmen. This is what he wants. Look at the attack speed of those jav throwers is very low. So I wouldn't really, I mean, you can go for archers as well, but it's pointless, right? Like, the thing is that you shouldn't go for sofas, because your jav throwers are good enough against archers. Well, they counter archers, and they're good enough against spearmen, so no need for you to go sofas. If he adds horsemen, then you go for donzos. Go for sofas only in Castle Age, okay? Is donzo the better option then? No. Donzo's never a good option against lone bowmen. Jav throwers. Just go jav throwers. That's more than fine. If he adds horsemen, you add on donzos. And once you hit Castle Age, you go for sofas. You don't really want to go for archers, because you want to be spending that wood on cattle ranches on a second pit mine, okay? Now that his first army has died and you've released some pressure, you can go for, now it's a good time to go for a second pit mine, okay? Not before, because I was going to get attacked and I needed that wood for production buildings. But now that we've defended his first push, we can go for a second pit mine, okay? like safely. Now's the time. Okay, you want to put this one. Okay, I guess you can't, right? Because there's no space. Remember that you see the area of influence. Your cattle ranches have to be inside this area to get a bonus. Okay? Otherwise, they don't get that bonus. And it has to be like almost, at least I think it has to touch at least half of the cattle ranch. I'm not sure if it has to be the full, full, all of it, or only half of it. Just put them inside. Oh, you went for a second pit mine. Oh, well done, well done. Okay, good job, good job. Your castle. So 75. We can't really see, right? We can't really see. We would have to like take a look at the numbers and see how food is increasing, but just put them inside the area of influence and it will be good. Okay, so your castle, before you hit a new age, castle age, imperial age, you want to start sending villagers on over to gold, because as soon as you hit you hit that new age, you want to get upgrades. Okay, you only got 10 villagers on gold. I would add a few more. 15 maybe, between 12 and 15 villagers for castle age. As for imperial age, maybe 20, 25. He's castle too. Okay. Okay, so he's going with longbowmen, spearmen, men-at-arms, and heavy knights. You're like, he's going for like a very how to put this in English, man? Oh, a lot of different units. Okay, like a how do you say it in English, man? Anyways, you know what I mean, right? Like it has very like different.
_R6.
Nice mix of units.
A nice mix.
A nice mix of units. So you can't really counter all of them. What I would suggest is that since he doesn't have too many archers, I like transitioning to archers in castle when playing against English. Because jab throwers in big numbers... Okay, you got 19 archers. That's sweet. That's very good. Jab throwers in big numbers are not that efficient. Missed units. Thank you, guys. But you're gonna need you're gonna need poison armors 100%. For those men-at-arms and heavy knights. Also, he's going with heavy knights. Maybe you want to add crossbow. Sorry, not crossbowmen. Donsos. Okay. So archers, donsos, and sofas. Let's take a look at your. Do you have a? You do have. You don't have one single blacksmith upgrade.
Name _taken_ again.
Welcome.
Gracias por el follow.
Against English, you always want to go for range. You do have range armor level 1. Okay. And also, depending on what com you're running, go for the offensive upgrades. Okay. So I'm running archers or jab throwers. That's my main unit in the army. First upgrade I want to get range attack. Okay. And then, so you want to prioritize offensive upgrades first. Well, first one, +1 range armor. Then offensive upgrades. Let's take a look at the... You don't have all of the upgrades. You should get at least the level 1 before hitting castle. Okay? Or while transitioning to castle. At least level 1 of all of the upgrades. Peak, horticulture, wheelbarrow, and broadaxe. Also, note that horticulture affects cattle ranches. Okay, so the amount of food that they provide passively increases when horticulture is researched. You should never let an English player do this. add towers, like building towers around, right? Because remember that these towers not only provide vision, but they also provide attack speed, 20%. And if they get the upgrade, 40%. That's like having 20% more army, actually. Or 40% if they get the upgrade. So if you can prevent English players from towering, that's also good. And you can do that, right? Because you have a lot of archers. Your units are upgraded. You're getting poison arrows. I think you're playing, aside of a couple things here and there, I think you're playing a good game for now. You're even getting a mangonel. Be sure that you can protect your mangonels. If he's going for full melee or almost full melee, look at that. Well, actually, he has 15 longbowmen. Like, does he have upgrades? He does. Be sure that you can defend your mangonel, okay? So if he approaches with his men-at-arms or heavy knights, you will have to literally put all your units on top of the mangonel and tank the damage, because your mangonel has to be alive, has to remain alive, okay? If he's coming with his cav, I will have to place my donsos on top of the mangonel. If he's coming with his men-at-arms, I will have to place my archers on top of the mangonel, but the mangonel has to stay alive. Because it's one very expensive unit and very good for defending purposes. So if you keep it alive, you're going to be fine. Okay. Make use of your resources. I think I told you I think it was you, right, who asked me to play a Malian game. And I was actually showing you how powerful Malian economy becomes in Castle Age. So you have to be adding more production buildings as the game goes on and keep producing from all of them, because look at your resources. You could have more sofas, you could have more archers, you could have Musafari warriors, whatever. But you could have more units and you're stacking a lot of resources. I saw the monastery. You've picked up 2 relics. Well done. Good job there. Whenever I see my opponent's army, I go and click on them. Okay, +1 range, +1, melee, +1 range armor. Okay, what else? +1, 1. Okay, what do I have? +2 range. Okay, can I get more? I've got 800 gold. Can I get more? Okay, you can check that in game. Oh, that's not bad. What do you mean, Pangoro? Can I get more? I do. I can. Whenever I'm floating a bit of gold, I think to myself, am I missing any upgrade? Any eco upgrade? Any military upgrade? Like blacksmith upgrade? Can I get him? So when I'm playing, I can see what upgrades they have. Yeah, of course. I'm just telling you. I see my opponent's army. I click on a unit. I see his upgrades. I look at mine. Do I need another one? Am I floating gold? Can I get it? I'm actually floating a bit of gold. Can I get them? Yes, go for them. Okay. No, don't worry. Okay, let's take a look at this fight. Okay, let's take a look at this fight. You got 2 mangonels, you got cav, you got archers. Let's see. First of all, your donsos. From now on, guys, you're gonna see your spearmen / donsos as a shield. Okay, they're not humans. They're shields. And how do shields work? When they're close to whatever they have to defend. So your donsos should have a different control group and kept within your archer group. Okay? And they only attack if Cav approaches. If he attacks with his knights, if he gets closer with his knights, with his horsemen, then you pull your donsos out. Other than that, your donsos act as a shield. They stay here within the archer group. You move around with your sofas and with your archers, okay? Because what happens if my donsos get out of position? He's just gonna snipe them with his archers. And I don't want that, right? Because who's gonna take care of those heavy knights? Okay. Good shots. Ooh, good shots. You see, now he's engaging with his knights. I don't have any donsos left. What I would have to do here, I place my archers on top of the mangonels straight away. I move my sofas close to my archer group to defend them. Okay. He's sniping the mangonels. You see, that's why you have to keep your units on top of the mangonels, so that you don't lose them. He has to go. He has to kill all your units before he gets to the mangonels. And sometimes, and this happens in Conqueror too, sometimes they go like they get their knights. They select their knights and click on the mangonel. And if you're on top of it, like knights will be running around your archers or donsors or whatever, because they will be looking to get that mangonel, but they can't actually reach it because it's, you know, you got your units on top of it. You could have played this fight way better. I don't think you're gonna lose the game here. Pulling villagers. You should be fine. Move your if this happens, move your cows. Move your cows. Because one thing that people do, I do that too, is kill the cows now. If he kills the cows now, you will have to like gather all of the food from the cow before you're able to build another cattle ranch there. And that's annoying because you're no longer getting passive income. Okay. What is he getting? Very mixed army again. Oh. ¿Está haciendo review gratis? Sí, es coaching para suscriptores. O sea, si eres sub y quieres, pues te lo puedo hacer. At this point, it's very hard to stop the English player, right? They have full farm setup. Like they're spamming men-at-arms. Men-at-arms are... The thing with English is that men-at-arms are very strong. And it's not like you can go Musafari warriors. Only Musafari warriors, right? Because he will also have lone bowmen. So your Musafari warriors are just going to melt. I would suggest... when playing against English and you see like they're going mass man-at-arm and longbowmen, I would suggest going Sofa mixed in with Musafari warriors and maybe archers with poison arrows. That's a good comp. And mangonel, if you can. But you have to mix, like, you gotta go Sofas and Musafari mixed in. Quiero un review de un juego mío, ¿sí? Pero tiene que ser en inglés, ¿vale? Sniper. Bueno, imagino que no tendrás problema para eso. GG. Okay. Questions. Pangoro, do you have any questions? Good to know. I did notice sometimes horses can get to the center of an army. Yeah, it happens. I mean, it happens to me, and it happens to even the best players. Like, you see, you're like microing 1,000 things at the same time, and you click on, like, you pull your horseman group and click on the mangonel, and your opponent just, you know, he places his donzos or archers on top of the mangonel, and your horseman, your cav is literally like running in circles around it because they can't really reach it. I really don't. It's pretty clear to me. Okay, I think you played a good game. Just a couple things here and there that you have to consider, and you will be fine, man. Next time you face English, let me know how it goes. But I think you have the key now to beat English. English is a tricky matchup. Because even though you may think that, oh, I wipe his army out of nowhere, they get again another like 20 low bowmen and men at arms, and it's like, how the fuck? But this is like how 90% of the time I lose my games. We all lose games, Pangoro. We're here to learn and improve. So what's important is that you take note of everything and put it into practice. And I'm sure you will. So next time, let me know. Okay? Let me know how it went.